Good morning, students. Students, we are going through chapter 5 from the snapshots, and the title of the chapter is Mother's Day. Children, now we shall start from page number 46, and uh, in the previous lecture we have read that when Mrs. Pearson says to her husband that people of the club laugh at him, they make fun of him, and when Cyril, uh, his son, comes to Mrs. Pearson's words, appears to hurt his feelings, and he makes it confirm from his son Cyril that the people of the club laugh at him. Although Cyril becomes angry that Mrs. Pearson has hurt the feelings of George Pearson. Okay, students? So now we are going to start from page number 46. It is the speech of Mrs. Pearson. Severely, possibly you do. But what I doubt is whether your opinions worth having. What do you know? Nothing. You spend too much time and good money at greyhound races and dirt tracks and ice shows. अब देखिए again she is scolding her son Cyril in cool manner. अब देखिए अपने बेटे को डांटती हुई कहती है कि तुम्हें शायद विश्वास है पर मुझे संदेह है कि तुम्हारी क्या राय है या क्या तुम्हारी राय जानने लायक है. Does your opinion worth quite believing? What do you know? What do you know about it? Nothing. You don't know nothing. You don't know anything. You spend too much time and good money at greyhound races. बोले तुम बहुत समय व्यतीत करते हो ग्रेहाउंड की रेस में. तुम इतना अधिक समय और धन ग्रेहाउंड के रेस में कुत्तों की दौड़ पर खर्च करते हो और धूल भरे रास्तों तथा बर्फ के शो पर. तो नाउ Cyril sulkily, well, what if I do? I have got to enjoy myself somehow, haven't I? कहता है in this way I just want to enjoy my life. I enjoy myself. And what objection do you have? कहता है इस तरह से मैं अपनी लाइफ को एंजॉय करता हूँ. What objection do you have? I spend too much time on the race of greyhound and on dirt tracks and ice shows, and in this way I enjoy myself. To Mrs. Pearson, I won't mind so much if you were really enjoying yourself. But are you? And where is it getting you? There is a sharp, hurried knocking heard of left. And now when she is saying to her son, अब देखिए जब मिसेस पियर्सन अपने बेटे से फिर कहती है कि मुझे बुरा ना लगता यदि तुम्हें सचमुच आनंद मिलता. कि I don't have any kind of objection if you have some kind of pleasure through that. पर क्या तुम्हारा जो एंटरटेनमेंट है, तुम्हारा जो मनोरंजन है, वो तुम वास्तव में प्राप्त करते हो. एंड इट इज नॉट ए गुड हैबिट. दिस हैबिट इज रियली very terrible. In the meantime, there is a sharp, hurried knocking heard of left. In the meantime, a sharp knocking comes from the door. So Cyril, might be for me, I will see. Now Cyril says that he is going to see who is knocking the door. Cyril hurries out left. In a moment he re-enters, closing the door behind him. And now Cyril comes back and closing the door behind him. It is that silly old bag from next door, Mrs. Fitzgerald. कि देखिए, when there is a knock at the door, Mrs. Fitzgerald comes and Cyril calls Mrs. Fitzgerald silly old bag, silly old woman. Mrs. Fitzgerald, you don't want here, do you? Okay, I don't want her to come here, do you? So Mrs. Pearson sharply, certainly I do. Certainly I like her to come here. Ask her in. Ask her that she should come inside. And don't call her a silly old bag either. And don't call her a silly old woman. She is a very nice woman with a lot of more sense than you will ever have. तो देखिए, now she becomes angry at her son and she says to Cyril that she should not call Mrs. Fitzgerald a silly old woman, and she is a woman with a lot more sense than whatever he has. तो देखिए, जब सिरिल मिसेस फिट्जराल्ड को मीन्स सिली ओल्ड बैग कहकर पुकारता है तो मिसेस पियर्सन नाराज हो जाती है और कहती है कि उसे मिसेस फिट्जराल्ड को सिली ओल्ड वुमन नहीं कहना चाहिए, वो उससे ज़्यादा समझदार है, उससे ज़्यादा बड़ी है. तो स्टूडेंट्स, नाउ सिरिल एग्जिट्स लेफ्ट. मिसेस पियर्सन finishes her stout, smacking her lip. Cyril re-enters left, ushering in Mrs. Fitzgerald, who hesitates in the doorway. Come in, Mrs. Fitzgerald. And when Mrs. Pearson looks at Mrs. Fitzgerald, so she welcomes her inside. So now there we see the conversation of Mrs. Fitzgerald and Mrs. Pearson and Cyril. So Mrs. Fitzgerald moving to left center anxiously, worriedly. I just wondered if everything's all right. I just want to know that everything is going quite rightly. So Cyril sulkily, no, it is not. Now Cyril means curtly cuts her words, her statement, and says to Mrs. Fitzgerald that means nothing is going smoothly in the house. बोले कुछ भी नहीं ठीक चल रहा है. तो Mrs. Pearson sharply, of course, it is. You be quiet. And Mrs. Pearson says that all is right, all is going smoothly, and she equally asks her son to remain quiet. Now Cyril indignantly and loudly, why should I be quiet? अब देखिए सिरिल जब सुनता है कि उसकी माँ उसे चुपचाप रहने को कहती है तो वो कहता है नहीं, he should not be quiet, he should not be silent. So Mrs. Pearson shouting, because I tell you, you silly, spoiled young person. So now Mrs. Pearson becomes angry and asks her son to remain silent. And she also calls him quite spoiled young son, young man. तो देखिए अब मिसेस फिट्जराल्ड जब उनकी बात सुनती है तो प्रोटेस्ट करते हुए कहती है, प्रोटेस्टिंग नर्वसली. Protesting nervously means now she is in the form of Mrs. Pearson. As we have already read that there was a change in their personality. Mrs. Pearson is in the form of Mrs. Fitzgerald, and Mrs. Fitzgerald is in the form of Mrs. Pearson. Okay, students. So Mrs. Fitzgerald says to him quite nervously, protesting nervously, "Oh no, surely." To Mrs. Pearson severely, "Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald, just let me manage my family in my own way, please." अब देखिए मिसेस पियर्सन मिसेस फिट्जराल्ड से कहती हैं कि मुझे मेरी फैमिली को अपनी तरह से मैनेज करने दो, ट्रीट करने दो. तो मिसेस फिट्जराल्ड, "Yes, but Cyril, you can manage, but what is Cyril saying?" Now Cyril, sulky and glowering. अब देखिए जब सिरिल उनकी बात सुनता है तो परेशान होते हुए, क्वाइट सल्कीली एंड ग्लोरिंग, परेशान होते हुए, क्रोध व्यक्त करते हुए और ऊंची आवाज में, "मिस्टर सिरिल पियर्सन, टू यू, प्लीज, Mrs. Fitzgerald." Cyril stalks off into the kitchen. Now when Cyril listens to the conversation of Mrs. Pearson and Mrs. Fitzgerald, so he goes towards the kitchen quite annoyingly. Okay, students, so that's all in this lecture. We shall continue the lecture in the next video. Thank you.